Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're having a bit of a show and tell. These are items made for a swap in a local group. It was all themed along tea, coffee, meeting friends, that sort of thing, especially in COVID times where we haven't been able to meet with friends and gatherings and things have been prohibited. So the theme was meant to evoke that feeling. There were certain guidelines. You had to use tea or coffee dyed paper for one item. You had to use a tea bag for another item. You had to fold something that was tea baggish, and as a bonus item you could use coffee filters if you had them. So we're going to have a look at this. Before I start, swaps, especially guided swaps, are very often difficult for members taking part and for people taking part because you are swapping with a stranger. Your style and the other person's style may not be the same. Your abilities and financial means may not be the same. So I do know lots of people hesitate to take part in swaps because they feel that they're on the back foot. And very often you swap items and the recipient, you get it at the same time, or the one gets before the other, and then you feel, oh, my swaps aren't good enough, or my items aren't good enough. So we're gonna chat about those sort of things while we have a look at what I made. I apologize in advance. There may be a lot of background noise. My husband's working from home. We've got a building site next door, and somehow with us being downgraded to level 2, traffic's picked up, etc. In any case, when I approach a swap, and especially a swap with a theme, I try and make all the elements match the theme, whether it's the packaging or the extras or things, so that when you open the parcel, you really get the feeling of that thing, in this case, coffee, tea, hot drinks. So, start off. This is just a little keychain that I made. There's some sari silks tied, some strings and things, beads, a little charm that says kindness, and then obviously the cup is the hint to the theme. Then I've packaged my items. This is a vintage tea cozy. It's not a very thick one, but that was the intent, embroidered. And then let me take these off. This little box, once upon a time, if I turn it over, held teacups. So I mean, it's repurposing. It's a pretty box. Small details. And what I find with swaps, it's not the bulk or the one with the most. It's the one with the detail and the thought and the fact that you took the time to really apply your mind and do the best for that person. Those are the swaps that really stick in my mind. So far I've packed out the items that were part of the swap. Just to note, this is it's not tissue paper, it's fabric. It's fabric remnant, a fabric sample. So it's just part of the packaging. So these are the items. I'm going to start with these little blind boxes. They're little pyramids, and you can see you can turn them any which way, and they've got little items in. They're very easy to make. I'll do a video on how to make them. The only thing is, some of them just don't want to stick. So these are, this is the item of folding a tea bag. This makes me think of the Lipton made little pyramid bags at some point. And then I've dressed them up to look like a tea bag. They're quite big. Let's see if I've got a ruler. I'm filming at my not normal desk today. They're 9 by 7. So they're oversized, really stylized. Made with tea-dyed paper. And then I've added things, ball pins, a roll of washi tape, paper clips, tiny stickers, beads, anything really. It's a little lucky packet, and you can't open them unless you tear them. So that's the first item. Again, these are very easy packaging items to make. You can make them in any paper to match any theme, and it's quite a novel little way of packaging small items. The second item, which was one of the set items is made of, it's just a piece of card. It's an old postcard that I covered up, podged with, or gel medium with tea bags, and then I stamped all sort of tea related items and coffee related items on the tea bag. They use tea bags, so they've got that very nice patina. We in South Africa obviously have the rooibos tea, which gives you the redder colour, and then that's a little charm that I just glued on, a little spoon charm, and then it's stamped. There's some white text over it just to give it a bit more depth, but very nice and tactile. And then I've sealed it also with a gel medium, so that's a nice little insert into a junk journal for writing. So it's literally tea bags stuck down and stamped on, so very, very easy item to make. The next item, which is for using tea-dyed paper, is I made a little journal. It's a squared journal, 15 by 14. Not very big, there's only one signature, but quite a lot of detail. And then throughout, I repeated elements. So there's tea-dyed paper here, and the stamps that are in here is also on the little bag, is also on the postcard. Some of the bead colours and things repeat. All very, very feminine, pinky. So I added little details on the binding. I did beads. This is like a t-shirt, strip t-shirt, very soft, nice. The cover is a serviette, just gel medium. I just added some, because it's not a big journal, it's really just maybe for notes or shopping list even. Lots of detail, lots of layering. That's a tea bag. And then items that I know evokes the feeling of tea time and spending time. And then tiny details. There's some little blings in the crochet. I mean, crochet doily, bit of your granny, you know, that whole thing pulling through. And then it's made with very simple tea-dyed paper. But you can see, let me stand up. The inside has, this is again tea bags, and then there's texture paste over it. For us, Five Roses is an iconic tea brand in South Africa, so it's a reference, you know, the roses to that. Again, a little bit of doily. And then these are in the Prima range. They've got tiny references to, that's got a teapot. And then the little tuck is a coffee filter. So it's not in your face, but I mean, it's there. This also Prima stamp that I was lucky enough to buy second hand. Little teacup in the lady's head. The journal's quite simple. I mean, the pages are punched, but there's a stamp. So that's a cohesive theme. There's a stamp. This has got a teacup on every page. And then just inserts, and they're all loose. So there's no real fixed pockets or things. Little details. So that's a vintage recipe book that I've just backed with coffee paper. And there's a sticker that you can use. This one is a cupcake. And then again, little notepads and things. There's a doily with some stamping. And like that's a hard peekaboo. Nice teacup postcard. This has got a little pocket. And then this is again the tea bag that's been with the paste, the same as the front one. Again, one of the vintage recipe book papers. There's a little recipe card. So not a lot of detail. This is a sticker sheet, all about coffee and coffee drinking that the swap pal can use. A tea bag pocket. So some of the swap items I used with some journaling cards. Some of the swap items I used, so this is using a tea bag, but it's also the other item. And then the back page is again just a journaling card. But I mean, this was packaging. I just cut it down. So it's just use what you have. And then I layered a lot. So there was a little offcut that happened to have a teacup on. This is a tag, piece of vintage lace. So it's not big pieces, but I just layered it. And then the back is just plain. So, and then that ties up. Sometimes people are weary of making a journal, but a small journal like this, very doable, especially for a beginner. So don't hesitate to try things in swaps too, because everyone is very forgiving, and that's what. So this is the last item, the bonus item. It's a stylized teacup. I just drew it by hand. So a cup, a handle, and a saucer, a drawing saucer. And this has got like a little cupcake on the paper. And this has got teacups. And then the folder bit, if you can see, it's stuffed full of these tea bags and stickers, is made from 5 coffee filters just glued together, and then I cut the shape of the tea bag to the shape of the coffee filter. So it's like a loaded teacup made with coffee filters. But unless you really look, let me just see, I think I can take all of this out. It's lots of small stickers and tags, and I mean, it's obviously not very big what you can fit in here. Let's see. So something like that. So what I did is I tabbed it. Otherwise you wouldn't know to open. So there's the coffee filters, and then a long tab at the back which I stamped. And then it's got space to put stuff in. What I did on these, and actually on most of the project, is I outlined with this pen. It's a really nice pen, a dual metallic. I think it's a Pentel. Yeah. And it gives a gold, but also gives a shimmer, and it writes really nicely, because I wanted to, can you see that? I wanted to echo the sort of fancy teacups that you get with the gold rims. And then what I did again, lots of detail. So, I mean, things like the buttons wrapped with gold, the ribbon has little beads strung through. That's a vintage charm. I think from like the 1960s. And the brooch, there's some pins. The back is just plain, it's unfinished, because you could then stick this in a journal and reuse it. So it's packaging, but it's also embellishments. But what I did in the swap is I really added a lot of details. So, you know, just when you think you're done, I added something more. So those are the mandated swap items. So the item using a coffee filter, something like a tea bag, which is the little blind boxes, using tea bags, which I did with the postcard, and then using tea-dyed paper, which I made the journal from. So let me zoom out. Not so many items in the swap, and then the overall theme. I'm going to have a look at some of the extras that I put in, and then we can discuss again what do you put in, what don't you put in, how do you make sure that you don't overwhelm your swap partner, because that's also something, is if you get a swap and you maybe followed the theme, and then someone sends a whole lot of extras. It's also something, don't make your swap partner feel overwhelmed and awkward, because that's also not what swaps are about. So these are some of the extras that I've added. I'm going to have a look at them now. So the keychain we looked at, the little cup with dangles and things. And I mean, put it on your craft room door, put it on your handbag, whatever. This is This is it's the dust jacket of a book, but it's so beautiful. It's an Italian book. Yeah, all about tea. So I've just glued the sides. I've put some trim on the bottom. I've made a dangle with some laces and things to cover it. And what I've put in here is just some of the flavored cappuccino sachets. So there's 3 in here, just as a little treat. I know lots of people like putting in a chocolate for here, something like biscuits would have been nice, flavoured teas would have been nice, a magazine to read while you drink your tea. Anything, I like that it matches. This is a little, I just wrapped it. It's a tin, and it says time for tea. And there's some tea cards and cigarette cards and just some small stickers in there, so that can be used for credit cards. This is, again, highly detailed. Like even there, it's got little beads in. It's just folded, again, plain at the back, so you can stick it in your journal. It's a little a pocket, just folded on itself, but that's got tea bags in. Our tea bags in South Africa very often don't have the wrapping like, where is that tea bag now? Like these. So to use them in a swap, you would need to wrap them. But again, there's a vintage little earring that doesn't have a friend anymore. So, but even if you look through the lace, there's a little cup stamped. So for me, I try to add a lot of detail and a lot of tactile elements rather than just a mass of things. So I'm trying to also, in the swaps, really apply my mind. So not just to say, oh, here's things, but really here are things that I considered. Little tags, so it's eyeletted with chain. And then this is a vintage, nicely, it's lacework, a doily, so you can reuse it on your tea tray, or you could obviously cut it up. This is a book. It's a religious book, but I know that my swap partner is religious. It's secondhand. I mean, there's written and things in, but it's a pretty book and it matches the theme. So again, these are images that your swap partner could use, or I mean, they could just use the book. So don't be scared of putting in secondhand items, used items. And then the last item, it's just in a brown bag. I didn't even decorate the brown bag because the inside's decorated. It's a glassine bag, and then it's got some instructions written on. This is some hand ground masala chai spice that I make. So it's also expanding your horizons, and then that's got a nice smell. With scented items in a swap, it's preference, personal choice, and you obviously need to check with your swap partner because some people are very sensitive to smell. And then the last item is just a postcard with people having tea, and that will be my little note and my thank you to my swap partner. And then what I've added in the box, this is in crunchy paper. It's 2 little Chinese tea mugs. Again, this is just from one of the local Chinese stores. Not particularly valuable, but something different. And I mean, if you don't drink tea, you can even still use it for pens or something in your craft room. I like using items that my swap partner sent me, and then this tucks in on top and gets the lid with the birds. I like using items that my swap partners send to me because the idea with swaps is to build friendships, to build relationships, to test your skills, to see what other crafters do. Because if you craft in isolation, you're also going to fall into a rut. You're going to do the same things over and over again. So this is a nice way. Swaps are a nice way to see, you do definitely learn some tricks. And it's not just about stash building, and it's not just about getting things. It's really about the sense of community that we can have as crafters, because crafting is often an isolated activity. So this is a nice way to get yourself out of yourself. All right, thanks for watching, and thanks for commenting and subscribing. And I hope you enjoyed some ideas on a tea and coffee themed swap. Thank you.